Good morning. Happy Monday. Josan. It is 5:30 in the AMs. This is why we have ring light in the living room. It's just starting to get light. I don't know if you can see that out that window. I've got to head off in about half an hour to make my way into town, get in for my early client, and then I'm catching up with a girlfriend of mine who's back in town. Yay! So excited to see her. And what else? I'm coming back this afternoon. I want to get more of that painting done. I have a couple of days allocated this week. We're close. I got the graffiti part done, which was amazing. We're getting there. We're getting there. I know it's going to happen. I've got a few allocated spots this week. And yeah, last weekend we were doing some extra mountain trip prepping, getting all the waterproof pants and some of the warm stuff that we haven't fully got yet because we're going to be outside facing the elements a lot more than any of the trips we've done before, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's all becoming quite real and it's all suddenly come into view. It's 4 weeks now. We've got 4 weeks here, leaving on the 30th of August, 2 days flying to Lima, one night in Lima. We've got then 2 days, I think 2 or 3 days in Juarez. We land at 3,000 meters. So we've got to acclimatize there for a couple of days. And then we're off into the Cordillera Wawash National Park for 10 days. We're doing a walk around. Very excited. Did not know that Lima was one of the food capitals of the world. Makes sense that they've got access to all the different altitude areas and different foods and stuff, but I'm very excited to taste some new flavors and ooh, good morning yawn. I wonder if you can hear that. There's a very odd sounding bird that comes out first thing in the morning. I'm not sure if my mic will pick it up, but I've opened the sliding doors to let's see. Got my ring light this morning, figured I'd rather be sitting in my favourite spot than curled up in the back room, so I brought it into the living room. Got a fun little setup behind the scenes that you can't see, lots of wires everywhere, and here we are. Good morning. Jasmine tea this morning. I've run out of all my Earl Grey and Rooibos, so I'm going to need to go and get some more of that today. Man, I definitely feel like having these mountain trips have been quite insane. It's been the last 5 years we've managed to do these, minus the 1 year that my dad passed away in 2024. Yeah, 2024. It's written on my wrist. 2024, minus that, we've managed to do every year, annual trip. I remember when I did my Vipassana 10 days off back in 2019, and I was like, wow, it would be amazing to actually do one of these every year. I haven't managed to do another Vipassana since. I would love to go. Sorry. I would love to go and do like a 3 day sit somewhere. In Hong Kong, they've only got out the 1 day sits. I might do another one at some point, but I had that thought of that disconnection and that taking that time away from life, from electronics, from things to just contemplate and take that time. And yeah, when we did the first mountain trip, I think it was in 2022, 2021, 2022, around that COVID time, we went to Austria for the first time. So we did Austria for 2 years, and then it was supposed to be Dolomites Altavia 1, which we missed. Yeah, and then we did Dolomites Altavia 2 at the end of last year, and then this year, Peru. So amazing. But honestly, the first time we did the 10 days offline was huge. It was coming off of being in the agency, genuinely running so fast and feeling like I was running in place for so long. It was a bit of a mind a mind fuck to actually manage to get 10 days offline. I was still creating graphics for the company at the time. I had separated from a business partner, but I was still keeping things afloat while we figured out the separation and handed things over and gave him some time to find new people and stuff. But just being able to take that 10 days offline was massive, and reminding myself that it's possible, and reminding yourself that if you plan it, it will happen. And if you plan it and if you do the actions to allow it to happen, it will happen. And it just reminded me of all the times during that stressed out period where it's like, oh, I can't take a holiday, I can't take a day off, I can't take a this, I can't. And it's so easy. Wow, this Jasmine tea isn't making me wake up at all. We have a very yawny episode this morning. I am awake, I am alive. I think this constant delaying of the rest when it, you know, again, getting back on the gym floor, these things are all, it's funny how I'm now watching all the lessons come full circle, and it's nice to be stepping onto the gym floor again as a different version of me, because this was me still mid spine injury, still pre agency, still pre so much of my life. And again, that reminder of even saying to my clients as well, not to overtrain, not to, to be taking care of their steps and their meals outside. Like, even with the fitness, it's not just the fitness, it's not just the training, it's the food. It's not just the food, it's the recovery. It's not just the recovery, it's the intensity. It's not just the intensity, it's the quality of your macronutrients. And it's like it's always more than one thing. But when you can plan it, when you have a goal, when you want to do something, if you put it in place and you action that and you trust the process, you get the results on the other side. And so I think that, when I was in the middle of the agency, thinking of having a 10-day trip offline wasn't even fathomable. And then now the fact that we've managed to do it annually in and amongst everything, and in and amongst working with this new agency that I work with, not new anymore, but the agency I shifted to. And, even with my clients, it's like they almost appreciate the fact that that's something that I value and that I put into my plan, because it's also something that then I would not mind helping them plan. I think it's very easy to find yourself suddenly then taking advice of mentors or things that, again, have only been able to actually hustle their way into a certain version of something. And I'm very grateful that I've been finding my clients that do appreciate the longer term planning that some of these things take, and the longer term commitment and the longer term enjoyment of building. Because again, like, it's tough. You can make a dent in things in 3 to 6 months. You can push, you can build, you can do, but growing it and making something sustained that's not just this quick cash injection that then just disappears. Like, again, I think there's levels to all of this, and it's, what are your goals, but saying I can't, there's something about that, placing those little limits on yourselves, like, oh, I can't do that, I can't possibly take a day off. There's this weird sense of self-importance. Use your words. There's this weird sense of self-importance that can come from building your own business and allowing yourself to stay in the employee mindset for so long. And there's this very odd thing that can happen as well, where it's like, nobody can do the service as good as I can. And, with certain things that's correct, but it's also how you train people, and it's also how you want to be providing the service and doing it. Like, again, phases. If you want to be doing it, great, but then don't complain if you're then fully booked and there's a ceiling on your income, because, again, that's that freelance trap, right? There's only so many hours in a day, and so you've either got two toggles to play with, right? You can either increase your hourly rate, or you can open up more hours. Those are your two. At a certain point, you run out of hours in a day that you can service other people or provide a service for other people without completely killing yourself. And there's also only so much you can up your prices without the results and the client, I guess, bracket that you're attempting to work with, until you also kind of hit a new ceiling where people will just go and hire somebody else. All right, personal training is the easiest example of that. Like, unless you start then building up your clientele to then celebrity status, or up to the people that actually have more of a disposable income that are paying those types of prices. And again, you then have to be the person that can get results, to be able to charge those prices. So when you think about the timeline that that's going to take, especially with something like the fitness, and I think fitness is very frustrating because it's similar to where the coaching space is, except at least with fitness you've got something that you're taking people through in a framework and stuff, but that you've either already done yourself or you know how to program and you know how to navigate. But the time that it takes to get your testimonials, like people actually have to go through a 6-week program or an 8-week program or a 12-week program, or they have to have trained with you for 1 year, 2 years, 3, like that's not something that happens immediately overnight. And so again, building in this rest, like it really is, how do you make sure that the game never gets to, I'll be fine, I can keep going, I can keep pushing, because when I get to X, then I can slow down. Because I think that's the most dangerous trap of them all, especially, I guess really it's only a big trap if you don't have a mentor or you don't have any plan on getting a mentor or getting help in that sense, because you really are running headfirst into shit you most often don't need to be doing, and thinking that it's all important and not seeing any of the blind spots of where you could already automate, delegate, or eliminate majority of the tasks that you're doing. It's also how you promote your service. If you get to the point where you're making it all about you and only you can provide the this and only you can provide the best quality of the service, well then why is anybody else going to want to go to any of your staff? You know, there's a community here wellness group, one of the ladies, she's been doing all this promotion, and during the community calls last year she was asking a few things about how to, you know, get more marketing, more eyeballs, more this. I know. I ran out of storage. That's the one thing I have to. Even if I just get all my videos off onto an external hard drive. Anyway, before I lose the thought, this woman had, you know, she'd built her entire business around her qualifications and how amazing that she was with everything. And she'd come onto this community call and she'd turned around and said, you know, I'm really struggling because all the inquiries that are coming through, they're coming through for me, and then they're not coming through for my other staff members that I've built to actually take on the practice, because she's the one in the forefront. And I just very quickly turned around and said, well, then you need to be promoting your staff. Like, you need to be telling people how amazing they are. You need to be telling how amazing they can be about it. And I think there is a nasty trap within the personal branding space and within the coaching space, that it's like, they come to you because it's you. Yes. But at the same time, it's like, if you don't prep people to deal with staff members or to how they're going to be interfacing with you and how they're going to be dealing with you, and that you have actually placed very capable staff within your realms that are going to take people for extra coaching or this and that, like, you have to prep. You have to preface. You really have to make sure that, you know, it's like, it doesn't compute to me when it's like those questions come in. And I think that's also just a very interesting, you know, note on how you're usually too close to the work to see, because it's like that was a very obvious question to me, and I'm sitting there going, well, as the owner of the company and as the person that's running it and also as the person that is, you know, taking the forefront of the media and all of that, why is it so difficult to see that when people are calling, they want you? Because that's all that's being promoted. So then when people are calling and they only want you, and then your books are full, and then you can't take a holiday, and then it then becomes this very quick self-important circle of, no, but everybody wants me. It's like, that's okay, but then what are we going to do about that? Like, is that a problem that you want, or is that a problem that now you're trying to change? Because, you know, it's very easy to want all this stuff and then to go, oh yeah, now I also want to scale, but then having not put any of the foundation or the prep work underneath you to provide that scalability of a business, knowing that you've trained your clients properly or you've trained your other trainers properly, and to promote that to other clients without it feeling like it's being promoted as a subpar service in that sense. I guess it is more difficult when it comes to like healing and body work and all that sort of stuff. Like there are certain people that have a certain knack, but at the same time, if you keep that level of only I can do this, only I can, well, then you are going to be stuck in one of those roles that only you can do. So then you better make sure that it's either at a price point that you're happy with, or that the hours are capped to a certain point where you can still have a life, or you've got some sort of escape route out. Or this is where then the digital products come in as assets down the line. Because if you're going to be raising your prices and limiting your middle force field access, how do other people get pieces of what you have to offer at a price range that they can afford, if that's what you would like to be able to offer? And again, this is where it's easy to set that disconnect of, now I want to be setting a certain price, now I want to be doing this, and then all the, advice out there is saying talk to beginners, and it's like, that's great if you can, close that gap. But what's nice is that usually when you're at a certain level, when you're having these issues and you're going to scale, you've done enough to turn yourself into these little digital products or these little digital assets. And that's not necessarily to say just do a course or just do this, but there are other ways that people are able to access you with less of your time being taken. And same with this offer force field thing, especially what I love that I was, learning is when you've got your months, and you place it, say you do a call once a week, right? Within a block of 4, once a week can be a wider community that's not paying as much. That's your once a month call with certain people at a certain level access. Every single week, you've got the higher level people at a higher level access because you're doing weekly touch points. And then you've got the amount to play in, in between. But the hour that you spend each week can either have this amount of many people in the group, in the room, or this many people in the room. And so those are kind of the numbers that you can play with, where it doesn't take an extra hour of your time and you're not presenting new things to the people in the room, because it's still all the same work, but you're almost like selling tickets and selling extra eyeballs to the same hour. So that's where you can suddenly scale the actual, hours of work with new people and new eyeballs. It's very fascinating how all this works and how it all weaves together. Definitely feeling very torn between what has to go into pre-Mountain Maya to-do list and then post-Mountain Maya to-do list. I've been still playing with some of these bots. It's taken a little bit of a back seat taking on these new gym clients, but now I've kind of stabilized. I'm not taking on any more new gym clients until after I get back. And even then, let's see, I'm quite happy with the number that I'm at as a little part-time distraction to keep me away. I now almost feel like I've had a new insight and revelation with some of the bot stuff, having been able to step away from it. So we'll see what my schedule looks like when I get back, but I'm still only going to be trying to fill a couple of hours every morning just to take that initial pressure off. And then I really want to focus back on getting these bots activated and building that side of it. Because again, with everything that's happening with AI, the copywriting and the actual selling yourself and the actual getting yourself out there, it is so damn hard when you're starting out. And this is one of the funnest things I've found with AI to play with, is becoming this creative sparring partner, becoming these little sidekicks that can get your phrasing, get your stories, get your words, and spin it into a beautiful landing page that you can turn around and be like, oh, finally, it sounds like me. It sounds like my stories and how I would say it without it just putting the extra splash of, did you know? Fucking pain point marketing. Oh, I don't know. I definitely feel like we're entering this very weird, wacky time. And I can't believe we're in August now. The end of this year is just going to like speed up as it always does. Yeah, crazy. And I think I'm going to leave that at that. It's starting to get light outside. You can see now. Still not enough light to film my cinematic view. I find that needs extra light, so I'm glad I brought the ring light in today. Don't think, well, couldn't have done it without it. But anyway, Monday, guys, cheers. Just keep building your webs, huh? Keep building the little pieces of the puzzle, but just, again, reminder, the rest, the rejuvenation, the making sure that you're actually alive to enjoy it and alive to sustain out the other side. Because as soon as you start to fully like get to that working on edge, working in burnout mode, that's where the clarity, that's where the decisions, that's where shit just starts to go wrong regardless, because you're just not fueling enough of your own creative brain to kind of be like, how about we don't do that? how about we just chill? And it's okay. Yeah, less is more. Less is more. The rest is the work. It's part of the work. Anyway, happy Monday. I'll see you guys tomorrow.